Good morning, friends. Today we shall look into how to develop the Sakshi Bhava or the witness attitude. In today's AI quantum computing systems, they say it's causing a lot of hiccups. So the physicists are perplexed at what the yogis could develop, or through their practices of meditative techniques they were able to develop a witness attitude, a sakshi bhava, which gave a sort of looking at a certain program as a witness instead of getting involved into the program. So the question arises, because there's a massive problem paralyzing the world's most advanced computing laboratories today. The physical universe actively refuses to function if it is being watched. Witness attitude means you're being observed. That's an observer approach. So when the universe is being observed, as in the surveillance or the CCTV camera systems that we have today, the physical universe actively refuses to function if it is being watched. A practice in yoga sadhana known as Sakshi Bhava or the witness state. So, when this happens, that is, AI does not function. So, that gives us our individuality. So, how do you develop this particular practice? For that, we need to understand what is spirituality. Spirituality is not only material, it is application of spirit or consciousness to matter. Consciousness is universal, matter is very subjective. That is, it is made up of permutations and combinations of the various 5 primordial elements, that is earth, water, air, fire, space, and the qualities, the gunas, that is sattva, rajas, and tamas. That is, sattva is positive, creative, purity. Rajas is active, whereas tamasic is inert. So these qualities are also intertwined with the material to form a particular object of name and form. So what is this this composition of spirit? For that, we should understand our human anatomy. Our human anatomy consists of the subtle energy system. This energies, our physical body has 5 layers. Now these 5 layers are not one above the other, they are intertwined, that is, they merge into each other. How do that? First is the annamaya kosha, or the food sheath. The physical body, this body, gross body, is made up of the food that we eat. Food, water, and everything what we put into this physically, that makes us our body. Then you have the manomaya kosha, that is the mind sheath. Mind. Now when you ask me where is the mind, you might say, okay, it's in the brain, but brain is an instrument through which the mind functions. But where is mind? Mind can be even in the legs. When you shift your focus or attention to your leg, your mind is there. So that is why if you're thinking of someone in Australia, immediately your mind goes there. So the mind, manomaya kosha, that is the mind body of a human being. Then you have the vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual sheath. Intellectual sheath is the wisdom that gets solidified or that gets concretized in our subtle body. You can say, if the manomaya kosha is the random access memory, RAM, then vijnanamaya kosha is ROM, read only memory. That is your wisdom that gets accumulated, the intellect. Then you have the pranamaya kosha, the life force, the breath that we take in, the oxygen along with it, nitrous oxide and other things that goes in. This pranamaya kosha is not just the air. That air gets split into 5 different vayu tattva, that is certain vital airs, we can say, which perform certain functions in the human body, such as prana, apana, udana, samana, vaya. That is, these are airs that will, vital airs that absorb, that push out, that is just like inhale, exhalation. These are forces. So that is pranamaya kosha. Then you have the bliss sheath or anandamaya kosha, which is pure bliss, where you are at peace. So that is also a sheath or a covering, a layer. Now all these 5 layers make up this human body. So these, we as a being are this whole package. So, and these sheets or the layers are intertwined with each other. It's not one after the other, one above the other. The finer the layer, the matter of that layer, the texture of that layer, it will merge with the other layers. So, so you have this anatomy. So this is the subtle body, but the subtle body also consists of the 2 nervous systems in the human body, the cerebrospinal and the sympathetic system. The cerebrospinal begins with the brain and continues down the spinal cord, and along the spinal cord there are several sub nerves that get that emerges and supplies energy to the organs in the area in which they occur. So this cerebrospinal, which begins with the brain, continues along the spinal cord. It ramifies to all the parts of the body through the ganglia. Ganglia are certain plexus, that is where they accumulate, or junctions, you can say. So, and these ganglia emerge from between the 2 vertebrae of the spinal cord. The sympathetic system consists of 2 cords. This sympathetic nervous system consists of the 2 cords, that is the left sympathetic nervous system and the right sympathetic nervous system. These are on either side of the spinal cord, but they are not exactly straight. If you begin from the tailbone, these nervous systems cross each other at the navel, they cross each other at the heart, at the throat, and here at the agya, they cross over and move into the opposite brains. So this, so if you have seen the cars of doctors, they have that picture of the 2 snakes that go like this, and then they reach the top of the where they reach the head. So this is the 2 nervous systems, which is called in Sanskrit Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi, or the left sympathetic nervous system and the right sympathetic nervous system. This is the entire network of nervous energy, and these nervous system join or cross each other at junctions which are known as plexus. So we have the solar plexus, the heart plexus, the aorta, and this will look into each of them. So, and from here there are relay stations from these plexus, and they emerge smaller terminal ganglia and nerves. So in addition to this, we have a vagus nerve. This vagus nerve rises from the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is here just at the base of your brain, just below the where the hollow of the neck, where you can touch. There's a bit of a hollow which at the base of the brain. There is your medulla oblongata. That medulla oblongata is like a fist, we can say, and through which all the nerve communications through neurotransmitters pass through that and goes to the various parts of the body. So this is the vagus nerve. which passes through this medulla oblongata and then constantly is intermingling with the nerves and the plexus of the other systems in the human body. So each person carries these two channels of energy, which produces the two biological rhythms in the individual. That is the yin and the yang. The left side is known as the yin, the right side, Rajoguna, is known as yang. In which is medical terminology, it is a sympathetic nervous system. So let us look at the left channel. Now that's what I mean to say. Now spirituality, when you say, you have to take into account this subtle energy system. Why? Because our Atma, the soul, when we are born, we are not born with the soul. I mean, when the fetus is there in the womb, only after 12 weeks, the soul enters that fetus. Till then, it is just a mass of which is formation, in the formation stage, until the entire spinal cord is ready, then, and the head portion is ready, then the soul enters from wherever and comes through this fontanel bone area, which is a sort of soft portion in a child. When you, a small child, when it is lying down, you just try to touch this top portion. It is a little bit, if you actually press it, it just goes down. It, so it's a very soft portion that's called fontanel bone. And later on, as we grow, this gets hardened through calcification. The soul enters the body through through that after 12 weeks. So when it enters, the soul is not only entering just as a soul. Here let us just divert for a minute, saying that when we die, the opposite. Like when we die, our soul goes out. Body is left, becomes lifeless, and the soul goes out. Now the soul doesn't go out only as the soul. It takes along with it as an encapsulated, that is a capsule, the entire subtle energy system. The subtle energy system, it gets like a covering on around that soul, and that capsule goes out. So that when we are born with that energy system. That is why our impressions, we come with certain impressions. We don't come with a blank slate. When we come with certain tendencies. We are prone to certain behavior or certain character or certain quality. Like some may have a flair for art, some may have a flair for music. So you come with that. Where does that come from? You have not yet learned. We have child prodigies. From where do they come? They come from that previous lifetime. When that soul goes out, it takes with that energy as a condensed form. It doesn't take memories of a particular individual incidents. It takes the energetic impression of the experience, and along with the soul it goes out. So that soul, when it comes back after the 12th week, so you come with that energy. So when it enters this fontanel bone area, there's a prism like thing there. You cannot say there's a bone, but it gets split there into, like when you take a prism and pass a light, it gets split, and one goes through through one side, and then goes as a Ida Nadi, and then the other one splits and goes as a Pingla Nadi, and one goes right through in between through the Sushumna Nadi, which is in the spinal cord, in the center of the spinal cord. In the center of the spinal cord, there is a thin tube. Inside that tube, there's a hollow in the center, which has 3 layers, and that energy goes from that through the spinal cord and goes down right up to the tailbone, and below the tailbone is a triangular bone called the sacrum bone. In that sacrum bone, this middle portion gets settled down, and not just settles down, it sort of makes up 3.5 coils. And in such a way, the hood of the is like a snake. You can imagine a hood of a snake covering that aperture to the Sushumna Nadi. Now, initially, when the child is not yet born, that connection is still there with the cosmos. That connection, the child has still the connection with the cosmos. That is why so when the child is inside the womb, it goes it is directly connected to the cosmos. So that's why a mother experiences a lot of very different, unique, all what the child is going through, she experiences. She can't actually pinpoint a particular thing, but she experiences various dreams, and sometimes the mood is off, and a lot of things goes on happening because the child is connected to the whatever the energetically it is happening in the cosmos. Then when the child is born, up to 6 years, initially you can say up to 3 years, that the talu area is still very soft. In fact, it depends on how soon that calcification happens. And the calcification, when it happens, is when the child starts developing an individuality. When it starts, that's where the ego, the sense of I-ness gets formed. The sooner it forms, like the sooner it realizes, this is me, I am so and so, I am this person, I am, this is my cheek, this is my dress, this is the way I am being called. So when the child starts recognizing itself as a personality, the sooner calcification happens. So, and that becomes hardened and it gets cut off from the cosmic connection. And so it becomes an individual. And very soon all of us feel, oh, we are separate people, separate individuals. We don't even relate to each other. Even though we may be, our parents may be the brothers, everybody, but they're all separate, right? So that individuality develops because of that. So this energy body, which goes in the middle, it goes and settles down in the sushum, in the triangular sacrum bone. And then this left channel, right channel, they get settled in its positions, forming the various plexus, various nerve starts developing, and then the human being, when it is fully developed, it is born. So this particular aspect we need to understand very clearly, because it is this subtle energy system is the only thing that we have control of. Soul is soul, soul is pure, but it's this influence on the energy body that ripens the soul, that mature, that evolution happens to the soul. So we through this energy body. So the sooner we understand the intricacies of the workings of this energy body, the better we'll be able to mold it and purify it so as to be conducive to our life purpose, what we want to achieve in life. Otherwise, our energies are all scattered all over the place, and we spend the whole life on all things that we would never have done if if we knew what we took birth for. Before we take birth, the soul signs a contract that I will do these things on earth when I am born. And many times that is forgotten, because when the connection goes, we forget. That's why we don't remember our past lifetime. That is in fact, at birth itself, we are made to forget the moment we take the first breath. So then after this, even the connection goes away, so we don't remember anything. So we have to discover our life's purpose, and we do that by trial and error. So how do we know what's our life's purpose, why we took this birth? So that's why if we are sensitive, if we develop a sensitivity, not of the sense organs. Yes, sense organs are tools. They help us in connecting to our energy body. The ears help us through sound in connecting to where the problem is happening in our body. When you know your heart is beating fast, heart is beating slow, that sensations are conveyed by these sense organs of taste, touch, smell. So these are tools, and the sense and the organs of action, that is hands, legs, your digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system, reproductive system. These are all, this is a whole mechanism, and we need to understand the mechanics of our body so as to be able to regulate it and keep it functional. Okay, so so these are the channels of our body. Let us dive deeper. What is a left channel? Left channel runs on the left. The left channel crosses over to the right also, but as long as it is on the left, that means which influences the left side of our body, it influences our emotions, our ichha shakti, or the desires, what we want, what drives us, means what inspires us to do certain things. So even it also refers to our past memory. The memory only drives us, means gives us an idea, or it's from the memory that dreams come, from the what is recorded already. So when that energies are on your left side, when you are focused on your left side, so these are the things that get highlighted or energized. Your right channel, on the other hand, is Kriya Shakti, that is your action oriented. So everything we do with the right hand, means not some people do with the left hand also, but then right hand side is basically for action oriented action, for all activities. So it has a Rajoguna. The quality is Rajoguna, whereas your left side is the Tamoguna, or inertia, or the Tamoguna, although it is, we say inertia, lethargy and all, but it is also that emotions. So we also need to regulate what kind of emotions dominate us, because that influences our actions. So this right side is of Rajoguna, and action oriented. So we need to, and many times we are not always balanced. That is, sometimes we are in a frenzy, jumping over one activity after another without even thinking. So your overactive right side overactive means left brain, because the Pingala Nadi crosses over to the left brain. So that's why when you are overactive, your left brain is more functional, so you might get a paralytic attack, whereas when you are emotional, left side is more active, the right brain gets affected. When the right brain gets affected, you might get a heart attack. So heart attack gets affected means you get it affects the right brain. So in this way, we need to understand the mechanics of our body so that we can regulate it. So we must see when we are more emotional. That means your energy is all focused here. So get up and do something, so that this right side also gets activated. Right? So then the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel, that is the channel which goes right through the spinal cord. This Sushumna Nadi is the balancing factor. If our energies are passing through the Sushumna Nadi, it's equally distributed and we will be in the center. So if we are in the center, we will be in the present. Our awareness will be in the present. If you are in the left side, if you are left channel is more active. That is, if you are more emotional, that means you are thinking about your past, which is dead and gone. Unless you want to refer something to the past so as to influence the present, influence the decisions that you are going to take in the present. Whereas the right side is of action oriented. Action oriented is always with reference to future. So if you are excessively future, constantly planning, okay, next 5 years what will happen, after 10 years what will happen, what I want to achieve in means constantly planning something, and so your focus shifts from present to future. So when that happens, the energies get futuristic, and future is not in our control. Future has so many variables. So it will, the same government may not be there, so the same economy may not be there, so many factors are there, right? So you may not be in that same city or the same place. So too much of futuristic planning is of no use, but a certain futuristic doesn't mean that we should not plan our future. No, that planning of the future can take place only in the present. You cannot plan in your future. That planning has to take place in the present. So you have to be present. So that is why presence is a gift. It's a present. So be in the present, which is a gift that you're giving to yourself, because this decides how fruitfully you're learning from the lessons of the past and how fruitfully you're applying for your future. And being in the present makes us aware, keeps our awareness in the moment in hand. It keeps our focus intact. It's not scattered. So whatever activity you may be, you're reading a book, or you're cutting vegetables, or you're making an omelette, whatever you're cooking, or whatever you may be doing, whether you're even on the playground, the focus is important to be in that moment. It's no use missing that ball and it bowls you clean bowled, of no use. So then comes regret, and then when you regret that for having just somebody behind the screen just moved, and you got distracted and you missed the ball, you got clean bowled, and then what happens? You regret. And when you regret, your energies goes to the left because you become emotional. Or it might go to the right when that emotion becomes anger, it converts into anger, because then when that anger makes you act. That means when you're angry, you don't simply keep quiet. You either bash up something, or you break something, or you do some action. So it activates the right channel. So there are certain, because see, you remember this energy, the left channel, although it is emotional, it crosses over like that. It's not entirely on the left side. So when certain emotions will trigger your right side. So this awareness will enable you to instantly shift from your left or to your right, whichever is heavier or stronger. Balance it with the opposite. So that's where music comes into play, where if you know music, you can use certain notations to balance the energies and shift the vibration, the tuning of the vibration in the body, and put it in balance, put it in comfort. Then why do you feel comfort when you listen to music? That's because it fine tunes, and particularly if it's an appropriate kind of vibration, you really enjoy it because you feel balanced. The energies get balanced, and you're in the center, and you're in the full awareness, so you enjoy the music. Or if it's something which rakes up your past, or some emotions of the past, or some incidents in the past which you would rather forget, then it will have a counter effect. So that's why even in music you should be very selective. So So this is what I was saying about the left channel, the right channel, and the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel, how to keep it in balance, and how the emotions affect the way we act, the way we perform our actions. So then we say karma, right? So the whole problem is in our karma, that we say that we have no control over karma. Then how are we able to, now karma means it will have its fruits, the results, and we have to bear those fruits. That is whether it's good or bad, both we have to only bear. Then so if we understand the energies, we will know how we will be able to impact the quality of our actions. Our actions will be result oriented, will bring positive results, or the results that we want to have. So then you'll naturally feel, you'll welcome the results rather than fight with it, right? So this is about the central energy system. We will continue in the next session. Thank you so much.